Good evening, everybody. This is Bruno Pertelli,
Ciao.
Creative Director from Publicis. I'm not Anurag Trika. He's going to join us in a bit. My name is Bela Siemen, and I'm Planning Director at Publicis. And today we want to talk to you a little bit about not wine or beer, but carrot or stick. And what we're trying to get to is to show you a little bit what we think can be done to change behavior. And changing behavior through social campaigns, but not social campaigns in an institutional sense, but social campaigns done by brands, using the Heineken case as an example, how we've done it, or how we've done it together with Heineken, or Anurag in particular, when he's going to join us. He will help us in explaining better. So let me moderate those two a little bit. Let me start with addressing Bruno here. Bruno, tell us a little bit what's so difficult in getting people to actually change their behavior from excessive drinking into kind of pacing themselves a little better.
Right. Basically, alcohol has done a great job in terms of communication because basically it's not just about the belief, the proposition that alcohol makes people have more fun. There's a strong belief behind alcohol, which is actually that when people are drunk, people think that they can have a better night. Great things can happen to them. And actually, we got a very famous example from the Hangover film, which is the perfect example, to summarize what I said.
Regia, can you please start the film?
So you can do the perfect campaign, the best campaign in the world, but you cannot compete with stuff like that. And everybody, the big thing is like everybody has experienced something like that.
So if this proposition, or kind of the basic thinking is for the people that the more you drink, the cooler you look, that's at least, well, if you see our good old friend here, he looks quite cool in his age. Then I think it's understandable that over the history, and we're looking literally 180 years back, that everybody was actually trying to tell us that drinking is not cool at all. So when we look back at the early days of the temperance movements, in which some women went on the barricades and saying this lips will not be touched with liquor because it's disgusting and dirty, and this behavior, which later on led then into the prohibition, and we all know how this went. And although strange enough, despite the fact that all this crime that came up with prohibition, it was actually very successful in make people change their behavior. So we've moved on from there into very educational videos where we were taught, whether it was scientifically or whether it was like with kids talking to camera, like saying, oh, it's not good to drink, and my mommy tells me it's not healthy and I should be driving. It was this whole sentiment going on of being educated about alcohol. It was only that when advertising started to take care of that problem, that in the early days everybody focused on drink driving campaigns. And here they took this very negative approach of always scaring you. So their response to, instead of you think you're cool, I'm telling you that what you do is really dangerous for everybody and also for yourself. I want to show you one example that illustrates this quite well, what this times of scaring actually meant and entailed. Oh, sorry. Gia, can you please start that film? So this was one of the UK governmental campaigns under this topic of think. I guess most of you are familiar with some of their commercials that they did. But it was this whole era of let's shock people about the bad sides of alcohol when it comes related to drink driving. So it was first starting with the misbehavior in the early days, and then we came into the education, then the shock. Now then, Bruno, at some point you started working with Heineken on this topic, and I think you started working with them for the Italian market in particular. And as far as I know, you addressed this topic from a different point of view with different insights. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, now, basically what Heineken has done, Heineken was the first alcohol brand trying to communicate moderation and doing a campaign about drinking and driving. What they were saying is it was important to have the same tone of voice of the institutional campaigns. So it was impossible to actually to run a campaign like this, and it was also wrong in terms of preachiness. So what we thought is, as soon as we cannot scare people, as soon as we cannot impress people, maybe we can actually make people laugh and especially think. So we look for a different insight. And what we discovered, we were focusing on our quite young targets, 18 to 24. At that age, people don't care about dying. If they die, they think they could be dying like James Dean. What they care is about their friends, so the people sitting next to them. So that's what we came out with, and that's the campaign.
Let's have a look at that. Gia?
Seen fish this big. I'm telling you what, I wouldn't lie to you. I promise you. So anyway, bottom of what ends up happening is George Clooney comes up. George Clooney. No.
And what happened with this campaign, actually, it was meant to run just in Italy, but a lot of other countries liked it, and also US, Asia ran this campaign. So the scale became different. The job to be done from that point on was actually to do a global campaign. The point that Heineken didn't want to do any more a campaign just about don't drink and drive, but about moderation, which is much more difficult because, when you talk about don't drink and drive, there's, the risk to die, and which is as a big weapon, a big reason why to talk about moderation. But when you talk about moderation in general, you don't have a reason like that. It's more generic. It's more about the coolness of it, And what you fight is actually people that just want to have fun. So we were kind of struggling. We were kind of in trouble. We didn't know exactly what to do, and this is when actually Anurag came in. So, Bella.
So so if I understand you correctly, if this is the guys we're talking about, and all they want is really to have fun, then I guess it's difficult to push them away and to tell them, hey, you can't do this, because as usual, they respond like kids who do exactly the opposite. So for them, this is then automatically what happens.
Yes.
So they drink twice as much, saying, hey, thank you, I don't want to hear you. I make up my own mind. I'm grown up enough to decide. So given that this solution here wasn't really so easy, let's see what Anurag has to say to this. So maybe Anurag can join us here. I think he will actually please us at the same time. Hello, there's Anurag. This is Anurag Tricker. Anurag is...
I work on Heineken. I can't have a meeting without Heineken, so I thought I'd bring some Heinekens to the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very responsible for yours.
I'm sure you wish you could drink right now, but cheers to you.
So Anurag joined us here today from, normally he comes from Amsterdam. Today he joined us actually from somewhere south of Florence. He's Global Brand Communication Director at Heineken, working in the company since 5 years, and he's the man who kind of installed moderate drinking as a fixed cornerstone in the marketing program of Heineken. And he approached us 4 or 5 years ago, saying, hey, listen, guys, forget drink driving. We want to do something about moderate drinking. And had its very own way to brief us and very own way to get into the subject. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what was your starting point in this whole story.
Before I start, I need to listen to my interpreters, Laura and Paula, who are sitting behind here, who are doing a great job, by the way, interpreting everything that people are saying to you here. So cheers to them. And they said to me, please talk slowly. Because people talk so fast, we cannot interpret for all of you listening. And I'm from India, and people who know no Indians, they talk very fast. So I will try and talk slowly. So to answer your question, I don't know how many of you know the Heineken brand and the work we have been doing over the last 4 or 5 years. We have a simple strategy, which is we are trying to make men become men of the world. And we mean that because we think that the world has so much opportunity and the world is so open that it's no use to be provincial and live in your small village, in your small city. And we have no problem with people being proud of their city, but we want people to open their world and become men of the world. And we think to become a man of the world or a man of the world, you have to be progressive. You have to be somebody who believes in opportunity versus believing in responsibility. And you see, that automatically changes the paradigm. And when Bruno first met me, he said, what are we going to do next? And I said, let's do another campaign on EHR. Let's follow up with that beautiful work you did with that dog who got drunk. And he said, so what do we do? And I said, let's find an insight. And then together we came up with this simple idea, which I think he wrote. I take credit for it, but he wrote it. All clients do that. Huh? We all do that. We take credit for what you guys do. And he said, there are no limits when you know your limits. There are no limits when you know your limits. And I think that is such a fundamentally game-changing idea on responsibility. And I think that started the journey on what we did after that. Because we were able to talk about moderation as a way of making the most of your night, as a way of making the most of having a great time and then having the best sunrise. And that's how we got to sunrise. We should show them the sunrise case study because that started the journey for us on what we're going to talk about now.
Let's do that. Regia, possiamo vedere questo film, per favore?
This one time I'm trying to get with all the hot chicks, right? Ended up with all the leftovers because I was too wasted.
C'ero quasi, ha per un bicchiere di troppo la pasta.
She could have been the mother of my child if I would have known where I left the car.
Heineken launched this message globally, right in time for New Year's Eve, the biggest alcohol night of the year, and projected the film in Times Square in front of 1 million people. To support this message in the moment of alcohol consumption, DJ Audrey Napoleon was commissioned to create and perform My Sunrise, a campaign track that reminded people of our message, whilst dancing. Posters and beer coasters were distributed in Heineken bars and clubs, as well as branded water bottles with the campaign message so people would not miss the best opportunities when on a night out. And for those who made it all the way to the end of the night, Heineken sofas were placed in the best sunrise spots of the world to enjoy the special moment with someone, inviting them to tweet the perfect end of a great night to our Sunrise Facebook map. All the uploaded photos have been used to create a music video for My Sunrise, which was then shown in bars and clubs all over the world. After 6 months, thousands of guys got home at sunrise, probably not alone.
I remember when I used to go to the Greek islands, when I was younger, English people were saying, you know, you Italian guys are very smart because you let us drink and then you get the girls. And basically that's the idea of the campaign. What was interesting about this campaign is a global campaign, so I think the difficulties was to involve all the different markets. The idea was not just to do a campaign, a film, but to create a kind of movement. And it was a big shift, I guess.
And I think this global point is very important because, you know, the Heineken brand is in probably every country there is in the world. We're in almost 200 countries. We debate whether it's 199 or 200. But I think that's not the point. The point is, how do you create a global message which is consistent and yet relevant and yet local? And I think that's the biggest challenge. And there's Christiana's here from the Heineken team. She's the marketing manager here. And she and I work very closely together on creating global assets and global campaigns. But there's always this desire to create something which is globally, universally understandable and relevant, but then locally, something that you can activate locally. And I think that's the biggest challenge that we said we must now crack. And that's been the second part of our journey together. Can we talk about that now?
Absolutely.
Or Bella, are we just talking over you and not listening?
Listen, I step in if I see that you guys go
you
off
tell
track.
You tell us when to stop, we'll stop talking.
I might tell you that you may have to talk a little slower for the girls
yeah,
behind it, but
that's right.
apart from that, no, we're good. I know, if you want to, we move on onto the evolution of Sunrise, where we moved on from here, because thereafter Sunrise, we realized that this kind of positive approach of talking about the opportunities of the night worked very well. We also realized how anchoring it in the nightlife worked very well for us, the same way as music became a strong cornerstone of this whole approach.
You know, I think, I believe the job of marketing is very simple. If you wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you ask me, what is your job? I say, I move people, or at least I try to move people. And I think all of you try to move people. And the way you move them is you move them with their minds and their hearts. You are able to somehow make them feel something or make them think something. But I think as a marketer, you have to do one step further, which is you have to make them change their behavior. So moving people is a twofold task for us, which is make them think something and make them do something. And I believe that the way to make the moderation movement, as Bruno put it so well, real, is if you can go into a moment in the lives of your consumers where you can actually say something which makes sense, and then it provokes them to do something different. And I think that's why the new campaign with Armin van Buuren called Dance More, Drink Slow, that was the genesis of that campaign. I said we should stop talking about an inspirational sunrise belongs to moderate drinkers, and let's talk about the movement of dance more, drink slow. And if you see that thought, dance more, drink slow, there is nothing which says don't do something. I think all the 25-year-olds sitting in the room would agree with me when I say they hate it when somebody tells them don't do something. In fact, they probably do it because you tell them not to do it. And I think that's the reason why Dance More, Drink Slow is so powerful for us, because it is an anthem that you can communicate in the nightlife with the most powerful influencer of the night. And you know who he is? It's the DJ. The DJ is the one who controls the night for most of the youth, because when they walk into a club, they want to do what the DJ tells them to do. And I think, therefore, the global ambassador of Armin van Buuren, getting him excited about the cause, getting him to believe in it so much that he talks about it himself now. We don't pay him any money anymore. He still talks about it. That he believes that Dance More, Drink Slow is completely in line with what he wants to do for his own music. You know, he tells his crowd, don't do drugs in my concerts. You are disrespecting my talent as an artist. And therefore, for him, Dance More, Drink Slow is a perfect way to talk about having a great fun and a great evening and being moderate and having some fun while you're having it, while you're having some alcohol. So that's the genesis of Dance More, Drink Slow, right, Bruno? So talk more about what you did.
Yeah, basically, there's one thing left, which is, to do a campaign, especially if you want to do a social campaign, it's really important to do research first. and to go quite deeply to find all the right insight or the right discovery. And what we found about clubbing is that people tend to drink more when the music is shit, because they cannot dance, they cannot talk because the music is too loud. So the only thing they can do is to have another drink. And this is basically the thought, the discovery behind this campaign, which is going to be played now.
Regia, possiamo vedere il film, per favore?
Alcohol-related cirrhosis of the liver amongst young people has doubled in the last 10 years alone.
Music can provide a natural high. DJs are responsible for giving you that high. If you as a DJ are boring, people need alcohol to get that high.
saves my soul. Tonight, the DJ saves my night.
I think the experiment works for sure. Because I think if music is good, people hit the dance floor. And the more they dance, the slower they drink.
The experiment generated 2 different videos. The most watched Heineken video ever, and Armin's campaign track, Save My Night. They climbed to the top of the charts in 27 countries. Over 100 remixes were made. The Dance More, Drink Slow movement started, tagged across social media as #DMDS. For the very first time, DJs became promoters of a moderate drinking message, battling to make the crowd dance more all around the world.
Anurag, I think we saw already a few examples here on how this traveled land scaled locally. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the importance of that and how this worked on this case.
Yeah, I think, we have this simple thing, this simple philosophy in the Heineken brand right now, which is let's create stuff that is sexy and has scale. That's our rule right now, sexy and scale. I think it's a good rule for all of us to and for all of you to think about, which is, I think today's world needs both, not either sexy or scale ideas. And I think the time has come now that we should be able to solve big problems, not with big money, but with big ideas. And I think there are great examples of this being done around the world. I just met the guys from Red a few weeks ago, and they're doing some fantastic work in the world with a simple philosophy of every generation can change something, and let's be the one that can finish and stop AIDS in the world. So I think big problems needing big ideas, and big ideas must be sexy and have scale. And I think that's why this idea of Dance More, Drink Slow, I think has both. It's got sexy and has got scale. Because, it's very simplest. It's very easy to replicate. It's very easy to copy and paste. It's very easy for a marketing manager in any part of the world. Sorry, I'm speaking very fast. I'll slow down. Sorry, it's 5:30. It's Friday. It's very easy for a marketing manager anywhere in the world, in Puerto Rico or in I don't know, New Zealand, Auckland, to look at this idea of Dance More, Drink Slow, understand that it's an anthem, it's got DJs, it's an event, it's about moderation. And at midnight, what we do is when the clock goes 00:00, we play the song, we serve water, and we remind people to be moderate. It's simple. It's simple. It's easy to do. And I think ideas, however big, at the end, have to become very simple. And I think there are some good examples here. And we just don't stop at DMDS. We try and activate this in unusual places, but places that are relevant. Watch this. This comes out of Taiwan, but a slightly different spin on the same idea.
Regia, potremmo avere...
That's very difficult. Showing an Italian crowd something written in Taiwanese which they can't translate. Even the translators can't do that. Sorry, apologies. The film was supposed to be translated and it is not. But basically the idea was we basically put a fake mirror and we put twins. So the twins could see each other. But the guy who came in, we put a blank mirror in front of him so he couldn't see himself. And then after point, we saw a message which says, sometimes if you drink too much, your night could get blurred. Dance more, drink slow. And then, of course, the guy claps at the end. Sorry, I should have put an English version. Or maybe an Italian version to be more sensitive to the crowd here. Well, I apologize. No, but that's a good example of you can do dance more, drink slow in the right context, but don't literally have to replicate the same idea. I don't know if you have time to show them the Vietnam version.
Well, as you like, as I'm saying, some examples were of that before, but if we want to get the feeling for the big...
Maybe we don't show the example, but let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. I think it's very important that when we create ideas, that we are ambitious enough to be able to kind of see the magnitude of them. So I don't know how many of you know this. Probably not too many of you know this, but Vietnam is one of our biggest markets in the world, one of our biggest Heineken markets. So New Year's Eve night, we walked in there, and we basically take over Ho Chi Minh City. The New Year's Eve night is owned by Heineken. And we basically staged a concert there where Armin basically launched his Save My Night video for the first time. But more importantly, they did a DJ challenge where they got two DJs to stand on two ends of the booth and they made people dance and they made them challenge each other to see who can dance more. It's, the nice, cool activation. 1 million people dancing to one DJ and 1 million people dancing to the other DJ. It was quite an event. That was cool as well. But again, a small example of big ideas trying to solve big problems, done in a way where you make moderation cool. Did we say that before? Moderation is cool?
Yeah, at the beginning.
No, that's what we're trying to do, at least. We're trying to make moderation cool.
No, the good thing what this campaign made also to involve DJs, because it was a call to action from probably the best DJ in the world to tell other DJs, please play good music, and this is the message. So the campaign was double size. Let's put it this way. It was interesting also because of that. And that was a way to create a movement, not within people dancing in the club on the dance floor, but also about DJs.
I think what's important here for us to take as a learning is that taking this positive approach as you have done and showing how it can scale from basically a central idea and be adopted because of its simplicity into local level. is not only the fact that it rolls out well, but it's also the fact that it has actually created great results to actually change behavior, which is what was our purpose in the beginning. Because we always had this feeling that just this negative approach that was used in the past is not going to make people changes because they react or respond probably in adversity to it. I'm not sure if you want to talk about results in any detail, but
we can. But we'll talk about it briefly because I hate patting my own back about something that we have done together. I guess so boring. What's more important, I think, is to understand that. Look, I'm not here to do social service, okay? And a lot of people have criticized me for the fact that, you're doing this just for yourself. Of course I am. Of course I am. I'm in the business of, marketing the world's best beer brand. But you need to understand that when we as marketeers understand the value that brands like us have in the world today, and you start to take that seriously, you start to believe that you can make a difference in the world. And I know from around the world, Heineken is a cool brand. And people listen to what Heineken has to say. So, if we turn that message and we say, be moderate and make moderation cool, what's wrong with that? And that's very cool because we are now helping the world make a statement about progressive behavior. There is also a business reason why we do this. And I'm very, very open about it. It's about quality. Heineken is about quality over quantity of alcohol. Asking people to be moderate is asking them to choose quality over quantity. So that's why moderation is cool is intrinsic to our business agenda, completely intrinsic to our brand agenda, and it has a fantastic halo in terms of relevance to our consumers. And that, I believe, is the win-win that brands must move towards, and some brands are moving towards and have moved towards. And there's nothing wrong with that. Doing well by doing good, that's cool.
Anurag, thank you very much for illustrating that point and demonstrating to us how positivity in behavior change can actually have an impact and can have results both for the brand but as well in the world as a greater good.
Can I leave now?
You can almost leave, but we all kind of have to leave as far as I understand the signs from over there. So I want to cut this a little shorter. Bruno, I think we've seen that in Cannes.
Maybe there's some question for Anurag. I don't know.
Let me just finish that one sentence, and then we can ask if there's questions or one or two questions quickly. I think we've seen in Cannes that this whole social responsibility has really taken over, and all bigger companies, at least when they are on the scale of Heineken, have now the responsibility to talk about it. And I think that's also why we're trying to make this point here, that if you are in the position of having to talk about social responsibility, be aware that to take always the pointing your finger approach is not necessarily the one that succeeds, but there might be a way of spinning it around positively, and this way you can succeed on this. We had prepared some rules on that, but I'm not sure because if you want to quickly go through those. So
we show them very quickly.
So my question to you, what were your learnings from there?
Yes. So basically, if you look at Cannes now, almost 50% of the campaigns are about social issues or social messages, because it's very relevant for the world right now. I got some learning. I don't know if maybe you're interested in it. And I took as example something that belongs to my youth. My first exercise in advertising, I was at the School of Visual Arts, was to write actually better lines for homeless. Because our teacher told us, when there's a better line on a homeless board, he can get much more money. So we wrote lines, and then we gave to homeless in New York. So that's my rules. One, you show the problem and become part of the solution. So it's really important that you show the problem and immediately you get the solution. Say something new about an old problem. About social messages is so common, so normal to get into the trap of saying something that people already know. Don't drink and drive. Yeah, thanks. Don't take drugs. Thank you. You always need to find new ways of saying something which has already been said. And this is, I think, is quite funny. Okay. Third rule is saying in a way that's never been said before. It's linked to the second point, but it's more about, you know, how good you are as a copywriter, as a creative. And I like very much the third one. My father was killed by ninjas, need money, to karate lessons. The last one is stay relevant to the target and the product. You know, most of the social campaigns now are linked to brands and products. And the social message cannot be standing alone or not linked to the brand of the product which is referred to. And that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Anurag, for coming all the way. I don't know if the regia kicks us out or if there are any quick questions. Well, we're well beyond this sign, Anurag. Don't worry. Yeah, that was. He started doing that 5 minutes ago. So if you have any quick questions, I guess one or two we can answer. Otherwise, we wish you all a nice continuation here in this halls.
Let's go.
Good.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.